financial advisor with Old Mutual. I've been working for Old Mutual South Africa since 2009. I've got a BCom degree in banking and finance, and I've got a diploma in accounting. Today, we are going to talk about just managing our finances in general. Because when we are working so that we enjoy our monies now, and we also enjoy our monies in the future, and the generations to come will also enjoy that wealth that we would have created. First of all, you cannot manage your finances well when you just dig into your finances and start spending without a proper budget. You need to have a budget. Each and every time that you receive your money, just before you receive your money, make plans with your money. Have a budget. In the beginning of the year, just make sure you make plans and goals that are long-term goals, medium-term goals, and your short-term goals. So when you start the month, plan for the month. List down the things that needs your monies, that needs to be financed, and make sure you stick to that budget. Because a budget is, when we explain a budget, is allocating where your money should go. And once you don't allocate obligations for your money, that money just disappears. So you need to make sure you give your money an obligation. So that's the first thing you should do when you want to plan for your money to go far. When we are working, we are creating wealth. And when we are creating wealth, we create it through getting an active income. We start by creating wealth through getting an active income. Active income is when you are still using your brains, your energy, everything to get money. But later on, we cannot continue to create wealth through getting an active income. Later on, when we are older, when we want to take it easy and rest, we get what we call a passive income. So when you are still this young, when you are still able-bodied, make sure you create as much as you can through the active income. When you create money through the active income, make sure you put aside a chunk so that it will work for you later to create the passive income. That's where we normally get it wrong, because when we are still actively earning, we spend all the money, and later on we become dependents. That's why a lot of families, especially in the Black community, they have what we call black tax. Black tax is just about people who didn't plan, who are now older, and they've automatically become dependents on their children or on their relatives. So we, especially here in Africa, it's not because we don't get money at all. We get money, but the thing is, we don't plan. Once we get the money, we just spend it. It's not about spending, it's about being intentional and making sure your money is well allocated in specific areas, so that even 100 years from now, you leave a legacy for your families. You create what we call generational wealth. The reason why we don't create generational wealth, especially in the Black communities, is because we spend all the money when we are still earning the active income. So the main topics that I want to talk about is creating wealth, protecting the wealth, and distribution of the wealth. How do we create the wealth? We create wealth when we work and we put aside savings. We start saving. We save towards our kids' education, because that's one of the most important things. If you want to create independent adults later on in life, you need to make sure your children get a skill. It doesn't need to be only academic. Just make sure they have a skill that will create money for them. What types of skills can there be? They can be academic and become doctors, nurses, teachers, engineers, whatever. But you need to put aside money towards the education of your kids. If they are not academic, you can have them have a skill in sporting, playing football, doing arts, whatever. But make sure all your kids have a skill, so that later on you have independent adults. The other thing on creating wealth, make sure while you are still working, you put aside money towards your retirement. You need to put aside money towards your retirement, so that you don't lose your dignity by begging your daughters-in-laws, your sons-in-laws, your daughters and your sons for money for your upkeep. You need to create a pocket for your retirement, so that you retire with dignity. When you retire, you go to places that you never visited before. If you plan your things well, there is no way you lack later on in life, because everything will be well. Your goals will be you focus well on your goals and make sure that those goals are achieved, and it's done through planning. You also just need to save towards the other goals that you may have in mind, like buying yourself a house, like buying shares in different companies, like starting your own business. I know all of you here have own businesses. You need to make sure you put aside money to finance those businesses, so that they don't collapse once started. You make sure they are well financed. So you put aside money. And how do we do it? You make sure when you are doing your budget, depending on how you can manage it, you put money as a percentage. Let's say you are getting 10,000 every month. Make sure at least 10 to 15%, it's money that you put aside of that gross. And you make sure towards your retirement, the minimum you can put aside towards your retirement is a minimum of 15%, because that 15% later on will be equivalent to about 70% of what you are earning now. So make sure you put aside money to fund a number of things in the future, because it's you who create the wealth. You just don't wake up and see money in your account, which you didn't work for, which you didn't save, which you didn't intentionally put aside. Once you have created the wealth, you have put aside money, you have savings, you have investments, you have your retirement on the side, and you have your emergency fund. You need to have an emergency fund. Ideally, your emergency fund must cover 6 to 12 months of your expenses. You must have money in your emergency fund that covers your monthly expenses of about 6 to 12 months for you to be secure. You cannot lose a job today and tomorrow you are already begging for mealie meal. So you need to make sure you have an emergency fund. Once you have created the wealth, you need to protect that wealth. How do you protect the wealth that you have created? By making sure you cover a number of risks. The most important asset that a human being has in this lifetime is your ability to earn an income. So once you are earning an income, you need to make sure every aspect of your life that enables you to earn that income is protected, like your health, like your life. Like you need to protect yourself against sicknesses, against death, against disability. How do you do it? I know a number of you people, you all have funeral covers, but does a funeral cover really protects your dependents against being stranded once you pass on? Because you are the machine, you are the ATM that brings the money in for your family, for their education, for their food, for their upkeep, for everything. So you need to make sure if you pass on today, yes, your family will grieve. Yes, your family will miss you, but you need to make sure there is a plan in place, a life cover. You cover yourself for a certain amount, depending on the needs in your family. Do you still have young kids that still need to go to school? Make sure you cover yourself more so that if you pass on, those kids will not stop going to school because you are no longer there. When you are no longer there, people who depend on you still need to eat, still need to go to hospitals. Make sure you are well covered to protect your loved ones against losing their livelihood when you pass on. These days, there are a number of chronic illnesses, some that we didn't even know about. Once you have a chronic illness, besides worrying about getting back to good health, you also start worrying about money, worrying about if you continue not working, are you going to be getting an income? So when you are worried, usually your immune system goes down. So you don't need to worry about money when you are covered for illnesses. You can cover yourself for a certain amount depending on your needs. You can cover yourself for 1 million, 2 million, or whatever amount. Once you are ill, that illness cover kicks in, and you get a lump sum. Once you get that lump sum, they don't tell you only go and pay at the hospital the money that you are getting from your cover, for your illness cover. You can make sure you pay some of the hospital bills, you pay your other expenses, because if you are sick for a number of months, sometimes your employer will no longer pay you because you have taken too long when you are not working. So make sure when you are covering yourself, you cover yourself comprehensively. Don't just take a funeral cover. Make sure you have a life cover in place, you have a disability cover in place, you have a severe illness cover in place, so that you are comprehensively covered and you are holistically covered. A funeral cover, once they bury you, that's it. And what happens to your dependents afterwards? So make sure you do it and do it well, and it's well, you are well covered and it's comprehensive. And also, when we are on that note, also make sure you put in place while you are making sure the risk of your health is well covered for. If you are able and if you can, make sure you take you take a health cover as well, so that they also come in once you are you get sick. So on the protection plan, those are some of the covers that you need. You need your life cover, you need your funeral cover, you need a disability cover, and you also need a severe illness cover. That's for your personal protection. Sometimes you also need to cover your assets, like your houses, your cars, things like that, so that your money is protected. Once you are well covered and your wealth is protected, you also need to put in place and make sure that wealth will be distributed correctly. You know, a number of people, especially in our Black communities, we don't normally worry about our estate planning. Estate planning is done to make sure once you acquire the wealth, later on in life, that wealth is distributed correctly. Put your will in place. Taking a will doesn't even take forever. You can even take a will with your bank. They can do a draft of your will, and that will it will be honored in the event of your death. They make sure everything is distributed according to your will, according to what you purposed. Because it doesn't make sense for you to create the wealth and protect the wealth. Later on, people who are supposed to be benefiting from that wealth, they won't benefit. So they have done it amiss because you didn't put everything in plan. Planning is extremely important. Planning makes your life easier, and planning, um, uh, you achieve more goals, because someone who is earning 100,000 rands per month and has a plan, a financial plan that is well managed, is different from someone who doesn't have a plan but is earning 200,000. The one that is earning 100,000 and has a plan in place can achieve much more than someone who doesn't have a plan at all. I normally encourage people to sit down with your financial advisors, because once you really want to put your financial plans in place, you need a financial advisor, and make sure your financial advisor know your financial goals, know what you purpose to do, so that they can guide you, they can assist you in whatever plans that you have. Does anyone have questions before I continue? Do we have people with questions? I hope everyone was hearing me, because I sometimes have network issues. Oh, okay. Someone said continue. So on the savings and investment planning, we normally save and invest towards buying houses, buying second properties, taking a holiday overseas, and things like that. We also, like I said before, we also plan towards school fees, university fees. University fees are extremely expensive, especially here in South Africa. And when you tell your kid, no, you cannot go to university, when that kid has passed because there is no money, you would have failed a generation, because that kid, if they don't do their university, if they are academically gifted and they don't do their degrees, later on they will blame you for not having a proper plan, for not having educated them. So as parents, please do your duty, do a proper planning towards your children's school fees, your children's university course, and other skills, like I said. Because if your child said, I need to train so that I can play rugby, I can play cricket, it's quite expensive. And if that's what they want, you'd rather make sure the money is available. And it doesn't matter how little you earn. if you are a person that have dreams, every dream needs to have a plan. You cannot just spend your money anyhow because you are earning little monies. No, no, no. As long as you are focused, as long as you have a purpose, you have a dream, if you put aside your money properly, if you sit down with your financial advisor, make sure they guide you, it doesn't matter how little the money is. That little money can take you very far. Ask anyone who has been making sure they have a financial plan in place. That financial plan will get you the goals that you have purposed in life. I don't feel like going further. I can leave this time for a question and answer session. If people have questions for me, I can leave this time for question and answer session. And I would like to put in a disclaimer as well. This wasn't financial advice. Financial advice comes in when you lay down your needs, and everyone and we analyze those needs, and you are given advice accordingly. Not just this was just a presentation, and this was just a lesson. So those who have questions, our host, you can read the questions for me.
From Yvonne, she commented about medical aid. Not sure if it's a question on which is the best medical aid to take. Maybe let me unmute her. Guys, we have 5 minutes. Remember, by 5:40, we need to end the session. So if you do have your questions, let's send them quickly in the chat. Yvonne, I've asked to unmute you so that you are able to ask your question if you have one.
No, my leader. I trust all is well. No, that was I don't know whether a question or so. Medical aid forms part of emergency for like emergency savings, right? So I just actually wanted to. There's a certain question that I wanted to ask, but I think I'll be fine. I think I'll be fine. So something was not making sense to me. Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So fine. I think some people as well might not be comfortable with asking in a group. Maybe what I can do is I will share Grace's number, and those who want to, have a one-on-one or speak to her directly, then you can then ask your questions to her. Is that okay, Grace?
Yeah, it's okay. Anyone can come to my inbox and ask.